So will the president's plan for tax reform actually work, or can it be improved? Let me welcome Ohio Congressman and Freedom Caucus member Jim Jordan. Welcome back to the show, Congressman Jordan.
Good to be with you. Good to be with you today.
So let's talk about this. I think the president's heart was in the right place when he spoke in your home state last night, talking about tax cuts, which will certainly improve the economy. I get a little worried when he starts talking about raising taxes on the rich. It sounds like a new form of revenue neutrality.
Yeah, we don't like revenue neutrality because, as you know, Kennedy, that's a fancy way of saying, or a Washington way of saying, that the tax burden stays the same. We just shift around who pays what. And typically under that scenario, what happens is middle-class families get the shaft and the connected class here in Washington gets a better deal. So that's not what we're for. Let's lower rates for everyone. Let's let families keep more of their money. And let's bring down the corporate rate. After all, we have the highest corporate rate in the world. So let's do it that way.
You're right about the corporate rate, and that's one thing that the White House has also been correct about, is bringing that down, because it is one of the highest in the world. What I want to know, it's interesting because as members of the Freedom Caucus, you are derisively called the most conservative in Congress, but many of you happen to also be constitutionalists, and you understand the importance of cutting costs. Why aren't we as enthusiastic about cutting costs as we are about cutting taxes?
No, well said. Instead of focusing on this revenue neutral straitjacket, let's do deficit neutral. Let's create a tax code that's conducive to growth, that lets families keep more of their money to chase down their goals and dreams, and then let's do something that's really amazing. Let's cut taxes. Or excuse me, let's cut spending. So that's what we need to focus on, actually cutting spending to deal with the $21 trillion debt, creating an environment where we're going to get 3% or higher growth to deal with that $21 trillion debt. That's the formula that works.
Yeah, and that's the kind of straitjacket that we are going to give to our kids and grandchildren, unfortunately, because that bill is going to come. And that amount of unfunded debt is absolutely going to cripple the economy. I wish more people would listen to that kind of logic. Unfortunately, it's a tough sell. The thing that people should like is tax cuts, and that means more of their own money and more money in the private sector, because government has shown that they're really bad at managing your money.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Let moms and dads keep more of their money. Let individuals keep more of their money. Let corporations not have the highest rate in the world. I mean, how is that conducive to producing growth? So let's deal with those problems. Then let's cut spending. Let's deal with the regulatory burden. Let's deal with Obamacare, for goodness sake. That's been a drag on our economy. Let's do those things so we can create an environment that's conducive to producing jobs, producing growth, getting us to an annual growth rate better than the 1 point something we had for the 8 years of Obama.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think we can have, you talk about it as though, unfortunately, it's a magic formula, and it's not. I mean, I think it is realistic to cut taxes, cut spending, and have the economy improve. Have it grow at 3 to 4%, which is a modest number. But I want to talk a little bit about health care since you brought it up. What kind of a bill would you ideally like to see come out of the Senate?
One with the Cruz Amendment in it that's actually going to bring down premiums and gives consumers choices in the small group and individual market. That's what we'd like to see. Short of that, let's go back to the plan the Freedom Caucus was for start of this Congress, the plan we all voted on last Congress, clean repeal, separate replacement bill. I think actually if you do it that way, which is the way we thought it was going to be done until the leadership kind of mushed it all together at the start of this Congress, I think that's a good way to go as well, because never hurts, Kennedy, to do what you told the voters you were going to do. Never hurts to keep your promise. We told them clean repeal, separate replacement bill that would have those market-centered, patient-centered, family-centered approaches to health care. I think that's a good approach, too. We'll see if that can happen if we can't get the bigger bill that's been talked about in the Senate.
Yeah, and, Senator McCain yesterday talked about the Senate and Congress making something even less popular than, or more popular rather than it was before Congress got its hands on it, and that's Obamacare. And I'm really hoping that the free market voices are loud and that they reign in these discussions, and we have some honest conversations about entitlement reform in this country that starts with Obamacare.
Yeah, well said. The other thing we need to do to get that growth rate you talked about, we need to reform our welfare system. If you can't move people from welfare to work, you won't have the labor economics, the labor supply that we need to get that 3% growth. So that's something else we're working on. We've got a bill that incentivizes work, has a work requirement for able-bodied adults. That's the kind of thing we need as well.